Today we are going over 7 what ifs about buying a house right now. Things that if you are considering whether you should buy a house right now or not, I know these things are in the back of your mind. What if I buy a house and then this happens? Well, we're going to discuss it. And number 7, by the way, is my favorite. I can't wait to talk about number 7.
Number 7?
It's the last one.
It reminds
the
me of
very
bench
last
warmers.
one on the
You ever watch that scene, number 7? That's the robot.
I don't remember.
Oh my
I've
goodness.
seen it, but it must have not been
the
that
way
good.
you said
so I
that,
don't
it just
remember
kind of
Number 7
referred me to that movie back in the day. But man, real estate's fun. But then there are potentials where, what if something happens?
Yes.
And these questions do come up. I mean, when I'm showing clients homes, first-time home buyers especially, well, what if this happens after the sale? Or what if this happens during the sale?
Yeah.
I don't really know necessarily what if the questions Mariah is going to be covering today, whether it's before or after the sale. But
these are more, it's not necessarily, that would be a good idea to cover, like, what if the home doesn't appraise? What if the inspection goes bad? It's not, that would be a good show. We should talk about that soon. But what we're talking about today is more housing market things. Like, what if I buy a house and then this happens? Like, worst case scenario, things that nobody wants to have happen after they buy a house. We're just going to take a look at what could happen and discuss it. Because according to a survey on opendoor.com, 93% of home buyers believe that current home prices are overpriced. So that brings us to number 1. What if number 1 is, what if I buy a house now and then home prices drop? So I have a couple other quotes from realtor.com, if you will, before we discuss it. There is no way to accurately determine when the housing market will reach its peak and enter a cycle of declining prices. Though this periodically happens, real estate as a whole has experienced steady appreciation over long term. Number 2, point to go along with this what if before we discuss it is, aside from real estate's overall appreciation, you don't actually lose money until you sell the home. So price and value fluctuations in the market are a paper gain or loss that is not actually realized. I think that's something that we really oftentimes forget. In short, you don't sweat the month by month or even year by year value swings. If you are a long-term owner, time is usually your friend in real estate. And then last quote to share from this article on realtor.com is, a good example of this what if are people who bought a home in 2007 at the top of the market. Okay. These homeowners might have felt some mental anguish for a year or two as prices dropped, because they did, but they did not actually lose or incur any loss unless they had to sell their home during that period. Yeah. If they kept the home and lived there or rented it out, and let's keep in mind, that was really only 2 years, maybe 3 max. That's not that long in the grand scheme of things. If they kept that home during that time, they actually came out substantially ahead if they sold it 5 or even 7 years later, which isn't that long. Yeah. If they kept it until now, they've got a lot of money sitting there in that house.
I'm really glad that article found and took the question I was going to ask you with is, well, what about the 2006, 2007 homeowners that bought right before that crash in 2008? And I've had conversations with these individuals, and, it's weird, but also like, I don't understand where some people's mindset is. And hear me out on this. They bought a house for $140,000. Great. It devalued to $110,000, whatever, during that depression era of real estate. Well, guess what? They still own that real estate in 2017, 2020, even still today. And they want to still complain about how a $400,000 to $500,000 house still isn't great enough because of what they went through. Mm-hmm. So the personal struggles I feel like people go through when it comes to home ownership, it's really weighing on them. I mean, for a whole lifetime. Sometimes you ever hear the quote where it's not about the money?
Yeah.
That's where that kind of influences me with these questions of like, what if this happens to me? Right. Because it's going to last with you kind of for your whole lifetime. Whether you can afford to keep the home, pay the mortgage month by month, rent out the home, you get to keep it, or you got to sell it in a low market. Yeah. At the end of the scheme, it's what do you remember about that area in your life, that era in your life? And that's where I just empathize with so many people, because on my end, the business guy, the realtor, the one trying to help you sell the house is, what are you talking about? You are $400,000+ richer. Oh yeah, and by the way, you most likely have this home paid off, or your mortgage is only $700-800 a month, unless you decide to take a cash out, refinance, do something. That's your own opinion or own personal choices to make. But from the business side, it's hard to empathize with somebody because that wasn't my situation. But then ultimately, what if it goes down? Like you said and heard in the article, it's bound to rebound and go back up. And
in a short, it feels like forever when you're in that time frame. But if we think about it, how long is the average recession? I think I heard like 18 months.
Right.
It's not that long. And then they start
painful.
ticking up again. And so if you can just hold on and not have to sell during that time, we're going to be good. And I do think there's going to be next time, if and when home prices drop coming around here, then I do think there's going to be a lot less people being forced to sell or going into foreclosure because of the amount of equity everyone has, crazy amounts of equity. The average American has a lot of equity. Also because of the financial position Americans are in, but also because like lenders were not giving out loans like they were back when, to people who were not technically qualified. Homeowners who own homes right now and bought their homes, in the last few years are much more qualified to own them.
There's more safety measures, certainly.
Yeah.
And the hard thing is we don't have that crystal ball.
No.
We don't know what's going to happen after you buy your house. Maybe 2 months later.
No.
I don't know. Wars break out.
Okay. What if number 2 is, what if I buy a house now and mortgage rates drop? What would you say to someone?
I think that's what a lot of people are bagging on right now. They really are.
Which we really don't know, by the way. We really don't know if they're going to drop or not.
And the deal is, I remember working 9-10 months ago, and every lender had the same scheme as, okay, well, you can buy now but refinance later.
They love the saying, buy the rates, or no, buy the house, date the rate.
There you go.
Is that it?
Something
they love
like
that saying, something like that. They love that saying.
And I get it. I get home ownership and getting in if you're capable. And that's why we always refer to not being the pushy salespeople, but the ones that say, you know what, is this the right situation for you to be in? Can you afford your monthly mortgage at this particular home for this rate?
Yeah.
That's up to you. And if rates go down, you can always refinance. Yes. If rates go down, understand that refinance is also going to cost you too, though.
Yeah.
It's basically repurchasing your home. So you got to go through closing costs and see how much is in your escrow account, stuff like that. So not everything is as good as it seems sometimes, but then ultimately a refinance is this. I'm really heavily relying on the real estate market to appreciate. On top of that appreciation, I'm relying on the real estate markets, the feds, to change these real estate rates, interest rates down. So there's 2 things that really got to happen, because if you need more money to take out a recash finance, well, your real estate value has to go up. Because you can only put out or take a certain percentage out of that home loan to refinance with. So there are variables in the lending industry, but ultimately it comes down to that question is, does your mortgage work for you? Can you afford that monthly payment? If you're too stretched, you're too stretched. You got to find something out and figure it out.
If you're buying a house and you are just counting on mortgage rates dropping within the next year or 2 so you can refinance because it is unaffordable for you, then that is definitely not a good position to put yourself in. You probably shouldn't buy, or you should reevaluate what it is you can buy and maybe lower your standards, which is really hard to do, but a lot of Americans are having to do that right now because of the home affordability if they are wanting to buy a house.
And I think a good point to bring up, though, are the people that bought, a year ago, when interest rates were just starting to increase. They were like at a 5 then, or 4.5. And they thought that those interest rates were high. And I had these conversations, and I said, and they were feeling a little stretched for this home purchase. Yet, they were approved, lending finalized, they purchased the home. But they were making the comment as to, well, I can always refinance. But in the back of my mind, I said, the interest rates are not obligated to go down.
Yeah.
We're sitting at a 4.5% here. That's still a very good rate.
I don't think they will. There's a good chance they will never go down below that,
Exactly.
I do not see them going down below, especially 4%. I sure hope not, because then prices will be $1 million average home price in Salem, Oregon.
And that was the concerning thing for me, though, because if they were already relying on those refinance rates back when it was only 5%.
Right.
Man, rates are pushing 8% almost now. And they're estimated to maybe even get to 8% by the end of the year or the first of the next quarter.
Yeah. Okay, what if number 3? What if I don't buy now, but home prices and rates keep going up? I think this could very well happen because home prices continue to go up. Although you would think when rates go up, home prices are supposed to go down. But because there is such low inventory, nobody is selling their homes, nobody's putting their home on the market. That's a big problem. Because of that, home prices cannot drop. So although there are less buyers buying right now, there's also way less houses to choose from, and making the few ones that are on the market, it is more competitive than what you would expect. So what if I don't buy now, but home prices go up and rates go up? Then you'll wish you bought now.
Yeah. I mean, 2 days ago, I'm on a phone appointment wishing somebody bought 2-3 years ago, she says. There was the perfect home. It fit everything I need right now. Oh, and by the way, it was $75,000 cheaper. It's one of those conversations where it's like the what ifs. And those always bite you in the butt. If you're not willing to jump onto something right now, then you might never be able to.
Yeah.
The difference is if you're able to jump on it now, it could be best for you, because what if interest rates keep going up? What if sales prices keep going up? It's going to make things more and more unaffordable. Yeah. And when we talk about the agenda of, man, they're trying to really make this an unowner country, meaning you guys as citizens aren't going to be able to own a home anymore. That's a really scary feeling.
Yeah.
It's a terrifying feeling. I'm not saying that I predict that. I'm just saying that's out there. That's a real headline. And
even just knowing that that is a possibility for the future, just everything being totally unaffordable, not that it already isn't, but I would really be pushing, if I didn't, wasn't already a homeowner, I would really be pushing to do whatever I can to buy that first house, lower my standards. I just saw a video of Barbara, what's her name? She's from Shark Tank. She said
she's everywhere right
she
now.
Was yeah, and she was giving some
viral.
really good advice. I think she's always been viral. She was giving some really good advice. She was talking about how obviously right now there's a huge problem because home prices are so high and also interest rates are higher, and how a lot of home buyers are waiting. But she was saying, like we've been saying, we've even talked about a little today, when interest rates drop, home prices are going to go up and it's going to be more competitive. And her best piece of advice to first-time home buyers that didn't yet own a home was, it sucks to say and nobody wants to hear it. Nobody wants to do it. But now is the time to lower your standards and really buy whatever it is that you can afford, even if that means the 1970s built, never been touched, never been remodeled condo that's really small. You don't want to share a wall, but maybe that's what it takes to own something and get your foot in the door in real estate. That was her advice. And I really agree with that.
Yeah, getting your foot in the door. That's huge.
What if, number 4, what if the property has hidden problems that cost a bundle to fix? Well, for one, your home inspection is there for a reason. It's important to get your home inspection done. While you're in escrow, you have the chance to back out if things, don't go as planned for the home inspection and the sellers aren't willing to work with you. But things can always happen when you own a home. It's important to have an extra savings fund that is just for future repairs. I think when you're a homeowner, I would have a separate account set aside that you're putting at least a small amount of money into every month that is just for, when my roof needs replaced, when my water heater goes out, that type of thing.
Yeah, no, that's huge advice. Because in every home sales, there is an inspection period. The Oregon sale agreement, we live in Oregon, is written in the buyer's favor. And I always put in usually 12 business days to perform this home inspection and get all repairs negotiated upon. And that is for your own backing, your own protection for that reason. Now, in some markets, when we're doing bidding wars, 10 offers, 12 offers, heck, I've had 20 plus offers on a listing. There's inspections waived. And, that is a risk that these buyers are willing and able to make to get into home ownership. But just keep in mind, like Mariah just said, have your piggy bank off to the side. Have that bank account.
Especially if it's an older home. Put a portion a month
in it.
Yeah, if you're buying a newer home, obviously things could always go wrong, but the chance of something that's like just super insane and costly happening are so much lower.
Right. And those big things are like every 10, 15, 20 year repairs, So you should know that based on the age and date your home is built on.
Yes. Okay, the next what if number 5 is what if I buy a house and then lose my job or suffer a financial setback?
Well, that's always a risk. It's always a risk that us Americans take. Being employed, you're promised one thing one day, and sometimes that job can't be there anymore. And being business owners ourselves, it's kind of like our roles are reversed. We got to go out and work and get it. And so the hard part is, what do you do when you don't have the income, you don't have the cash flow?
Right.
You got to make sacrifices, I would say.
Yeah.
And are you going to read off of that?
I do have a quote here from realtor.com as well. So this quote says, buy a home that fits comfortably within your budget so that you can make your mortgage payments now and into the future. Ideally, you'll have a savings cushion after your home purchase, but if not, immediately begin rebuilding your emergency fund after buying, so you can set yourself up to continue to make your mortgage payments even if you face financial setbacks. But what if you already bought the house and then suddenly can't pay for it? If you can't make mortgage payments, contact your mortgage lender and see if you can work out a payment plan. If you are upfront and honest with your lender, they typically will work with you, and the last thing they want is to foreclose on a property. So, obviously it's a very complex situation. There's not just one fix all answer for that situation, but got to do what you got to do.
I think that was decent advice, though, talking to your lender at least and seeing, hey, is there something to work out? I mean, we're X amount of time behind on payments. Can we play a little catch up until I can get back on my feet? And now I've never gone that route. I've never actually talked to somebody that has.
No, I've never either. Yeah.
But,
but that's why it's important to buy a house within your means.
Exactly.
And obviously things can still happen, but then have that emergency fund for the instance.
And that to me, the whole backing and reasoning behind like your debt to income ratio. So like your debt, your mortgage a month, that's part of your debts. It should only be, 20-25% of your total income. So you can delegate other funds elsewhere, have fun with your life, and go live. So we should definitely be financially educated when it comes to paying your mortgage and purchasing a house. And I like using those ratios. Dave Ramsey uses those ratios. You do not want to be in debt to your house and a slave to your monthly payment. Not fun.
What if I buy my house now and then I want to sell and nobody wants to buy it?
Well, that does happen in slower markets, but ultimately there's 3 things that sell a house: price, location, condition.
Yep.
Okay, so if one of the 3 is off, that's probably why your home isn't selling. And usually only people are willing to do is fix the price. Now, sometimes there's more to it. You can't just move a house from location to location, so now we're dealing with only 2 problems. Work with your real estate professional that's in your area. If you live in Oregon, it's us. Give us a call, and we're willing and wanting to help you. We'll send you a free CMA, but ultimately give you a free home diagnosis, if I can say that, so we can share our thoughts as to what's hindering this home sale. Believe it or not, I do specialize in expired listings.
You do.
It's
Sell
hard.
a lot of them, yeah.
Lately, there hasn't been so many expired listings through the years, but I really did and do enjoy working with expired clients. And that means they once listed their home with a realtor, or maybe they were trying to sell for sell by owner, and it just didn't happen. Then they call me or I call them, and we schedule a consultation, and usually magic happens.
What if number 7, the what if you've been waiting for, is what if I buy a house now and then home prices go up?
This is your number 7.
Number 7.
Back to the old joke, number 7.
Yes.
Okay.
If that happens, then you win.
Can you repeat the question?
You happy? What if I buy a house now and home prices go up?
Winner, chicken dinner, ding, 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 ding.
And honestly, there is a good chance that they will in the short term. There is a great chance that they will in the long term, because like we talked about before, home prices, when they do go down, it's for a season.
Yeah.
I've had clients who purchased their first house for $7,000. I don't care what kind of recession happens, homes will never be $7,000 again. So that's what will happen is you win.
And you know what's going on though is we really haven't seen that housing crisis quite yet, since even we got in the business though, 2015.
I would say
we've gone through some stuff.
We've gone
Don't
through
get me wrong.
slower. We've gone through faster as far as like days on market. But I would say right now it is a bit of a crisis in a way. It's not the crisis that everyone was expecting. Yeah. It's not the home prices were cut in half and homes are sitting on the market for 6 months. It's not the 2008 crisis like everyone has been predicting since I got into the business. With the
price drops.
With the big price drops. It's not that crisis. It's a crisis in a different way, to where the affordability crisis, but also the crisis where Americans are going to have to just start lowering their expectations. Maybe we'll become like Europe, where everyone lives in a 700 square foot or less, apartment. Like that's normal. Like, right. I don't know. But lowering their expectations if they want to become homeowners, because homeownership is still so valuable and so important. And also a crisis in the sense that there are no homes on the market. Nobody wants to sell. Yeah,
I mean, I'm in Kaiser today, and I just do a general search as to what's out there. Kaiser's just an area with probably, 15, 20,000 people?
Yeah.
Okay,
it's a branch of Salem.
It's a branch of Salem.
Yeah.
We're here in Oregon. And there was 41 homes available.
Wow.
Think of 41 homes for 15 to 20,000 people to choose out of.
Wow.
That's terrible. If you really put it into perspective, I mean, it's like, okay, why am I even wanting to sell my house? There's nothing else out there. And so that's kind of been the mindsets of a lot of Americans. And what else is out there to buy right now that could even influence you to sell anything remotely? It's like really putting this real estate market on pause and a standstill. Yeah. The thing is, real estate sales, they are higher. The sale prices are higher. So these commissions for us brokers, they tend to be higher as well.
Yes.
So that's keeping us in a job. Mm-hmm. But what I'm trying to say is, and circle now to, is this market, it is different. It's something that I don't think a lot of people have seen before. We don't really necessarily know how to explain it until we've gone through it.
Yeah.
And being the real estate agent, our job is to just power through. Because if I keep reading the headlines and then get down on myself and then not go out there and do work because all I've done is manipulate myself and say there is no work, I'm out of a job too and I can't pay my mortgage.
And at the end of the day, the headlines can be so scary. They can say so many things, but homes are still selling. People are still relocating to our beautiful state, Oregon. Yeah. We get calls, texts, and emails from people moving here all the time. Things are still moving. It's just a lot different.
And that's what I mean, though. Slower. Like for us, we've stayed in our lane.
Yeah.
Mariah and I, we've stayed in our lane, done our jobs, done the due diligence, provided excellent service for our clients, and that is why we are top producers in our area. I mean, it's fun.
Okay, so thank you for hanging out with us today. If you are a first-time home buyer or even a seasoned home buyer, head over to our channel. We have a handful of playlists that you will definitely want to watch before you begin your home buying process. And if you are thinking about buying a house outside of the state of Oregon, feel free to contact us. We would love to set you up with a solid realtor wherever you are located. And if you are thinking about buying or selling a house in Oregon, we would love to work with you. We are both Oregon licensed realtors and love helping buyers and sellers here in our area. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.